Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Front Row Access Podcast. I am your host, Steven Russo.
I'm Anthony Gonzalez.
And let's fucking get it. All right, guys. So UFC 303 was this past week. No, 2 weeks ago now. Money in the Bank was last week. Speaking of which, Drew McIntyre totally fumbled the Money in the Bank contract, and Tiffany Stratton is your new Miss Money in the Bank. Anyway, but before that was UFC 303. Alex Pereira successfully defended his title against Yuri Prochazka via second-round astronomically crazy head kick. Just absolutely flattened Yuri Prochazka, of all people.
Yep.
Absolutely insane night of fights. Who else was on that one?
I both A, feel like I predicted that pretty well, and B, think that Prochazka should have maybe done a bit more.
A little bit more meditating.
No, I would say, cut out one or maybe even two of the 3-day meditation and work on dodging head kicks.
Of course, yeah, because he definitely did not do that very well. Anyway, so the co-main event was an absolute fucking shit show. Obviously, Brian Ortega pulled out the same day. If you guys were following the TikTok, which is Front Row Access on TikTok, you would have seen that we updated you on that because Mr. Brian Ortega pulled out the same day of the damn fight.
G-City, let us down.
And fucking Danny Gay, who was hosting a watch party for the UFC event at his house, got called in to fight Diego Lopez. He had the pay-per-view bought. He had the burgers ready. He had the beers in the cooler. He was ready to have the boys over, and guess what? Well, you guys can still come over, but just you'll be watching me fight now.
I won't be there, though.
I won't be there, though. Feel free to eat the burgers. Feel free to have the beer, but,
I'll be there, but I won't be there.
Exactly. So, and then Anthony Smith taking the L to Roman Dolidze. I'm happy he didn't get finished because and he actually did compete a little bit with Roman Dolidze. I thought he was going to get fucking smoked in the first round. So, a way to go, Anthony Smith, on a very good effort. And before we get into the fight nights that's coming up this weekend, just in case y'all didn't know, there's fights this weekend. Rose Namajunas is going toe-to-toe with Tracy Cortez. Showdown between two top 10 flyweights. I mean, obviously, Rose Namajunas, the former 115-pound queen, and Tracy Cortez, this really scary fucking surging contender. So, another old guard versus new guard type of fight. But before we get into that, of course, go and follow all the socials. It's Front Row Access, and we are on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and fuck Facebook. And, of course, Pepsi hit us up, Front Row Access Podcast at gmail.com, and Logan Paul, KSI. Hit up your boy. Anyway. Now, into the fights this weekend. Enough of my shameless plugs, Anthony, would you say?
No, I think more shameless plugs.
More shameless plugs? I think I'll pass on the shameless plugs. But so we got a fight night set this weekend. Got a pretty good fight at 125 pounds, and we're in Denver, Colorado, which, if y'all don't know, Rose Namajunas actually trains at Elevation Fight Team out there in Denver, so she's going to be basically in her backyard and probably will have the home field advantage going into this fight, but of course, home field advantage doesn't really mean shit when you're in fighting, if I'm being honest with you. The amount of Canadians that I saw take an L on that Canadian fight night, it was very sad.
They were just too nice to go for the win.
Unless, or they just were very good and decided, let's not steal the puck from them. Let's not steal the hockey puck because then we're going to lose the fight. Because if they had stolen the hockey puck, bloodshed. It would have been absolute fucking bedlam, chaos, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So anyway, Rose Namajunas, Tracy Cortez, obviously. Y'all know Rose. And so this was originally supposed to be Rose Namajunas versus Macy Barber, a very young and surging contender in that 125-pound division who's been making waves as of late, and she's actually top 5 in that division, but unfortunately, Macy Barber did have to pull out of that fight because of some sort of immune disorder that she's dealing with. She would try to get better, then she'd just get sick again, then she couldn't breathe right in training, and then just it got so much to the point where she just could not compete, could not train anymore, so unfortunately had to pull out of the fight, I think on 4 weeks or 3 weeks' notice.
We are not having a lot of luck with fighters and illnesses right now.
Yeah, nah. Same with Khamzat Chimaev. He suffered the same fate. Some autoimmune disorder pulled him out of the fight against Robert Whittaker, which absolutely stellar performance with Robert Whittaker knocking out Ikram Aliskerov. I was screaming in happiness at my TV while the motherfucker was getting knocked out. So, unfortunately, Macy Barber is out. But Rose, let's talk about Rose. Why she's a former champion, right? Strawweight queen. the only motherfucker to beat Weili Zhang. You know, everybody else that steps in front of Weili Zhang fucking loses. To put Thug Rose Namajunas up there, nope, she's got her number, and she's beaten her twice now, once by an emphatic knockout and once by a pretty dominant decision. So, obviously, y'all know Rose. She's got fantastic jiu-jitsu. That is her strong suit. She's got very good grappling, and of course, she's got some pretty decent striking too. Trevor Whitman out there at Elevation Fight Team is definitely putting in the work, making sure Rose's combinations nice, tight, quick, fast. You know, and let's be honest, she knocked out Weili Zhang, who's a way more dangerous striker than Rose Namajunas is. Just a perfectly timed lead head kick to the fucking jaw, and it just floored her. It was amazing. And that's how she won the second strawweight title. She was a former champion before that, then eventually lost it to, I think, Jessica Andrade, and then eventually won it back after Weili beat Andrade, and then she beat Weili. So, yeah, Rose, two-time champion, and obviously she wants to make it a two-weight division champion, not just a two-time same-weight division champion, by going up to 125. And this could be a fight that could definitely get her a top-5 fight in the future. I mean, she pretty much already had one with Macy Barber, but unfortunately, it did not go that way. But maybe we could see her again get into a top-5 spot. You know, last time she had a top-5 spot was Mountain Fiorot back at UFC Paris in September of last year, where she got absolutely dogged on. That she was against number 2 in the flyweight division.
In this division right now?
What was that?
Does she have a ranking in this division
Who,
right now?
Rose?
Yes.
I believe she's number 6 or 7, something like that. So she's still in there, but just not top 5 just yet.
I mean, depending on how well this fight goes for her. By the way, I am picking her for this.
Spoiler.
I'm not gonna go against Rose. I just can't.
No, you just can't.
But if it's something decisive like a first round knockout,
then for sure,
I'd say she get a contender shot right there. If not a straight up title shot.
Yeah.
I'd say don't give her a straight up title shot just yet.
But they could very much catapult her there, though.
It's Rose.
It's because it's Rose. So but yeah, but Cortez. I want to talk about Cortez for a little bit. I've been absolutely glazing up Rose Namajunas right now. But Tracy Cortez, this girl is pretty good all around. She's got good ground game, good striking. She's on an 11-fight win streak right now, undefeated in the UFC. I believe she has 5 fights in the UFC, all of which she has won. They have been by decisions, though, no finishes. But overall, she got her last fight in September of 2023 against Jasmine Jasudavicius on that Canadian fight card that I mentioned earlier, where every Canadian just got fucking smoked. And you know, she got that win against Jasmine Jasudavicius, and then of course Rose is coming off of that win against Amanda Ribas back in March of 2024, so this past March. So both of them are coming off of wins. Both of them definitely want to get to the top tier, the cream of the crop of this division, and hopefully get that title shot at Alexa Grasso once she's done dealing with Valentina Shevchenko, or Valentina Shevchenko when she gets rid of Alexa Grasso. That fight's all but confirmed right now. Basically going to happen. I mean, the coach is on the Ultimate Fighter right now, and of course, you know, UFC's going to the Sphere on Mexican Independence Day, and they're going to want to put the Mexican champion close to the top of that bill, if not the top of the bill. Well, maybe not the top of the bill if McGregor and Chandler ends up materializing for that event, but definitely close to the top of the bill and on the pay-per-view card. So hopefully one of them will get a crack at whoever wins that. So I'm thinking a number 1 contendership is in the near future for both of these women after it is all said and done this Saturday night. And now, as much as we love to say this, right? As much as I love watching these new contenders make their way through. I love seeing their hunger. I love seeing their drive. I like seeing what they can do with themselves. I like watching them face adversity. I like watching them overcome adversity. But I'm telling you, man, I got Rose for this. I don't know how Rose is gonna do it, but I just got Rose, and I'm gonna say by a finish. I don't know what finish. Could be a submission, could be a knockout, but I'm going to say Rose by finish. I'm not going to call what round, though. Anthony, what you thinking?
All right. Just as a side note, and because I've got to say something about it, you said you like seeing them come up and whatnot, the adversity face. I agree with all that, unless you're Patty Pimblett.
Yeah, fuck you, Patty Pimblett. Anyway.
Besides that, I completely agree. So I'm going to zero in on it, just to give you a 1, 2, 3. So as you always heard, I got Rose for this.
Yes, sir.
I will also say it's going to be a finish. I will also say it's going to be round two, and I'm going to give you a submission.
Submission round 2 for Rose Namajunas. I like it. I like it. I got Rose by some sort of finish. Don't know what round. But we both got Rose. We're both back
And
in Rose.
when I'm looking at these contenders and whatnot, what made me pick this pick is you may be on an 11 win streak, but the part about decisions, it to me that shows that you're not hungry enough to take on someone of Rose's standard.
Like you want somebody to go out there just with fucking piss and vinegar try to finish the dude or the dudette in this
Because we
circumstance.
all know Rose is gonna.
Rose is definitely gonna look for the finish for sure, and she always does. She always somehow finds a way. So,
So that's why I
um,
went how I went.
yeah, I got Rose. I mean, she's just incredibly skilled, very skilled mixed martial artist. She's still young. She's still around. She's still competing at the highest level with some of the toughest gals in both the 115 and 125 pound division. She's been around since she was fucking 20 years old, 22 years old. And I gotta say, I think the experience is going to probably help out Rose in winning this fight. But also on the card, our co-main event is Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Muslim Sakai. And I'm like, ooh boy, we got a Russian and we got an Argentinian. Argentina, great with soccer, wonderful with soccer, but they only have a couple of fighters. They got Santiago, and then I think they have Elo Perez, who fought on UFC 302. So both of these guys have been around since like fucking forever ago, and they've just never made it to that upper echelon of competition in the welterweight division. But both of these guys are coming off of L's, so they're definitely going to win. One of them is going to, well, they're both going to want to come out there, get a win, and an emphatic win at that, because they're both coming off of losses. Santiago Ponzinibbio, last time he was out, lost to Kevin Holland by submission. So, and of course, I forget who Muslim went against in his last fight, but he lost that fight by, I believe, a decision. I don't think he was finished, but it was definitely a decision. So both of these guys are strikers. They don't really take each other down that much. Muslim a little bit more than Santiago, but I gotta say, man, I I think it's gonna be a pretty good fight. I can't lie. My excitement for it is kind of low. I'll be honest. I don't know why this is the co-main event when we have a bunch of other big names on this card that could have co-main evented better. We're gonna get into that in a couple of minutes, but I gotta say, I think I'm gonna take Santiago Ponzinibbio for this one, just because I think he's got the length, I think he's got the power, and I think he'll be able to prove that he's got it, and that he can get himself back into hopefully a top 10 shot or top 15 shot for the welterweight division, and continue his path to maybe becoming a contender. But at this point in his career, I can't say I have much hope for Santiago ever being a contender. I think the best he's gonna get is top 5, but who knows? I could say that, and then he could just become this most elite level fighter, beating everybody left and right, and then he's your new welterweight champion by 2026. I don't know, man, but
Round one knockout for you, for you, for you, for you.
yeah, beating every guy that he shouldn't beat, and then somehow becoming champion. But I think Santiago's at a point in his career now. He's getting a little bit older. I don't think he's ever going to be a champion. I don't even know if he's ever going to make it to the top 5, but I'm going to still take him for this one. I got hope that he's going to come out and do his business, do what he does best, come out, look for the finish, and keep that cold-hearted look on his face the entire time. What you thinking, Ant?
I think if you flip a coin, I completely agree with you on that decision there.
Mm.
But I'll take Santiago there. And I don't know how. I really couldn't tell you how it's going to happen. But I'm going to say that the drive in him is going to be bigger because his loss was to Kevin Holland.
A big name, a prominent name, so.
Which means he got there.
Yeah.
So I think he can get back there as far as skill sets go.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm
He wants
gonna
to
go with him.
He wants to bounce back after a pretty high-profile loss to a high-profile guy. So
We all love the bounce backs.
exactly, king of the bounce back. Let's see if he can Dustin Poirier this shit. You know. But also we got Drew Dober on this card, who I'm actually more excited for than Santiago Ponzinibbio. I think
Yep.
he should have co-main evented. So we got Drew Dober versus Gene Silva. I mean, Gene just fought 2 weeks ago on 303. And I think he got a finish and didn't take much damage at all. So, he's coming in on a short notice to fight Drew Dober. I'm not sure how short of a notice this is. I kind of just found out that he fought on 30. I forgot he fought on 303, and I saw his name. I'm like, hey, a minute, wasn't there a Silva on the 303 card? But Drew Dober though, this guy, he looks like he looks like a Chad, bro. He looks like that fucking Chad meme. Have you seen a picture of Drew Dober? Look at that man's chin. Look at his fucking jawline. He's got that Chad jawline. He looks like his name should be Chad and not Drew. But he's got insane KO power. I mean, he's lost to some pretty high profile guys. I mean, let's see, he lost to Islam back in like 2022 at one point. So, I mean, he has competed with obviously the current champion, and he has competed with a lot of like high profile guys like that. So, Drew Dober definitely is a name that you should probably know, and it should be familiar. Also, should be familiar because this guy fucking knocks people out. I don't know about this, guys, but I don't know about you. But Drew Dober, I don't know if you know this, but he's about one KO away from tying Dustin Poirier's record in the lightweight division for most knockouts. So, I mean, Dustin Poirier has, I believe, 16 knockouts currently in the lightweight division. The 16th being that most recent one against Benoit Saint-Denis. That's what got him out of the tie with Drew Dober, because Drew Dober was actually tied with Poirier going into that fight at 15. And then Poirier knocked out Benoit, so then he got the 16. But then, Drew Dober is coming in for the knockout again. He's one away from tying the record with Dustin Poirier again. So I think that's awesome, but of course, we can't sleep on Gene Silva, though. This guy is a very big knockout guy as well. His significant strike accuracy I saw was at about 63%. So he's definitely very accurate. He's a very powerful guy. I think he's coming off of a knockout. So it's gonna be an exciting fight. I think it's actually gonna be a dogfight. These two guys, two striker guys, these two young striking dudes that are gonna want to just take each other's heads off. And of course, us as MMA fans just love that shit. So, I'm gonna take Drew Dober though. I think he's gonna tie Dustin Poirier's record, and I'm gonna take him by I'll say round 3 knockout. I think it's gonna be a war. What you thinking, Ant?
I got Dober for this.
Got Dober.
If I had to put a mark on it, I'd agree with you there. Round 3 knockout, but I'm not as faithful that that's how it's gonna happen.
Might be very early on. The dude's got smoke.
But Dober for this for me.
Yeah, I think Dober's got this. It would be crazy if Gene Silva on a 2-week turnaround knocks out Drew Dober. The second place guy for most knockouts in the division. That would be absolutely insane. And I wouldn't complain. But like Drew Dober's such a nice guy, man. I like the dude. I'm a fan of the guy. I want to see him do good things with his UFC career. He's still young. He can definitely go places, and I think his rise to the top will probably start around here. I mean, obviously, last time out, Drew Dober lost to Renato Moicano, which was, let's be honest, a very bad matchup for a power puncher like him when you're against a very technical grappler like Renato Moicano. So it's not a very good matchup for him, but I think his bounce back is going to happen tomorrow night. And I think this is going to start his probably rise into the upper echelon of the lightweight division. He might be might obviously going to depend on how this fight goes out and how the rest of his year plays out. We're only a little bit over halfway through the year, but he could be top 10, top 5 by the end of the year. I would not doubt it. So yep, I got Drew Dober round 3 knockout, and Anthony, you got the same thing.
Drew Dober.
Drew Dober by a knockout. Probably. I think he's going to tie that record with Dustin Poirier. But those are only the 3 fights that I wanted to actually have a little bit of an analysis on because of the top 3 fights on the card. And but also on the card we have Damone Blackshear, who's only one of 3 guys in UFC history to pull off a twister submission in the octagon. So that's something to definitely pay attention to. He's on the prelims. He's on the preliminary card. So make sure you tune in for that. I believe the prelims start at 8 p.m. and the main card's at 10. It's like a pay-per-view night. Obviously, they're in Denver, so they're going to make it at the same times that they would make a pay-per-view night. That's just how the UFC fight nights work when they're big name city. And we also have Julian Erosa on here, who's just a mainstay. He's been around for a while. He's a pretty good fighter. And so I'll be looking forward to see how he does. Cody Brundage is on this card again. Brundage coming back after taking the L to Bo Nickel on UFC 300. And I'm going to hope he bounces back here, gets that win, and hopefully avenges Anthony's $50 that he put on him against Bo Nickel. So, and then we also have Jasmine Jazz Davicius, the last opponent of Tracy Cortez, is also on this card. So those are just a couple of names to pay attention to that are also on this fight night card. But that fight night will be going down in Denver, Colorado, 10 p.m. main card, 8 p.m. preliminary card. But also, guys, this week has been a pretty big week for fight news, especially building up August pay-per-view UFC 305. So UFC 305 is going to be going down, and I forget. I think it's going down in Australia. Yep. It's going down in Australia, and it's main evented by, obviously, Dracus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya. Obviously, Dracus du Plessis, the current standing champion. Israel Adesanya, the former two-time champion now. Dracus du Plessis coming off of the very, very razor-close decision to Sean Strickland, and what has been my fight of the year so far. And because it was just a fucking war, man. It was just etched it out over Strickland, right? Just barely, but it was such a good fight. And then, of course, Israel Adesanya coming off of that L to Sean Strickland back in September of last year. And I don't know. I mean, I love Izzy. Don't get me wrong. But, like, the fact that he just jumped right into a title shot, it irks me the wrong way. If I'm being honest, what you think, Ant?
So, with me, and when it comes to names like this and what they get or don't get, for me, it's what they've already proven in the ring. And like I always say, if a champion loses, I think they have a right to try for their championship again. So I'm not too upset that he's in this contention. But if you play into the fact that the way he got it was lose it, win it, lose it.
And now he's going to try to win it again. Like,
when he gets to the before the last one, that's where it gets a bit sketchy.
Yeah.
But I mean, then if you go before that, it's win.
Defense since 2019.
So I can see why they gave him it. You know.
Yeah, and he's also a big name in the UFC's big draw. Obviously, you put Israel Adesanya on the top of the bill. People are going to pay attention. People are going to like it. People are going to want to see it. And
MSG.
And I saw Israel Adesanya fight live at MSG 281 when he lost to Pereira. So that was I always pay attention when Izzy's fighting. He's one of my favorites. Obviously, he was one of the first UFC stars that I guess imprinted on when I first started following the sport. It was Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, and Israel Adesanya. Those were my first three guys that I really started to pay very close attention to. And so, obviously, I'm happy to see Izzy fight again, but, when Sean Strickland just comes off of a win against Paulo Costa in that razor-thin close of a fight, it makes me want Strickland to be in the title picture for this pay-per-view, but obviously the seeds for Dracus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya were planted all the way back last summer, UFC 290, after Dracus du Plessis knocked out Robert Whittaker in what was probably upset of the fucking year. Next to Sean Strickland beating Israel Adesanya just 2 months later. But they planted the seeds for that all the way back in last summer. That was supposed to be Izzy's next title defense, but obviously Dracus got hurt. I think he had some sort of a rib or foot injury, one of the two. And then he had to pull out of that fight with Israel Adesanya, and then Sean Strickland jumped in and then just fucking shocked the world by beating Israel Adesanya. Just walk him down. Walk him down. Come forward. I'm coming forward. I'm coming at you. I'm not stopping. I'm coming at you. That's Sean Strickland, man. Just such an awkward fighting style. It shouldn't work as well as it does, but he just somehow fucking makes it work. And I'm like, you know what? I might not be a fan of Sean Strickland when he gets in front of a camera, but this dude's such a good fighter, and he is a draw. He is extremely entertaining, even when he does get in front of that camera. He has some funny quips. But, it just makes me feel like maybe Sean's getting done a little dirty here, seeming as he is the former champion. That was his first title defense, and it was a razor-close decision. and now he has to face Izzy and not Sean. But it is what it is. This is what the UFC did. This is what the UFC booked. I'm not going to give you any predictions right now, obviously, because this isn't the UFC 305 podcast. This is the fight news. This is the fight night. This is the 303 reaction. So that's just a little brief touch on that. But also added to UFC 305 is a co-main event versus with Kai Kara France, number 4 ranked flyweight in the world, versus Steve Erceg, number 9 ranked in the world. Now, if y'all remember, Steve Erceg just went against Alessandro Pantoja, UFC 301, and lost, but it was a pretty competitive fight, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that was. I was at the edge of my seat watching.
Dude, I didn't think Erceg. I had faith in Erceg that he would give a good fight. Obviously, I did the research on the guy when I gave you the 301 pod. When we gave you the 301 podcast, I did intense research on Steve Erceg because I did not know who the fuck this dude was. And then obviously he goes in there with Alessandro Pantoja, who has been proving himself as a very, very solid and a rather dominant champion for flyweight. He's beating everybody in front of him. I mean, let's see, Brandon Moreno. Let's see who was the other guy that he fought. It was another Brendan. Oh shit, I can't remember his name right now. Do you remember? Who was his second title defense against? Oh shit, who was it? Hold on, I'm gonna need to use the Google machine real quick. Alessandro Pantoja. Sounds like he would cook some fucking banger food. Yeah, you can't tell me that doesn't sound like a chef's name. Alessandro Pantoja. I feel like he would cook some very good food. I mean, he's Brazilian. Brazilians are known for their fucking steaks. Brendan Royval. Yes, that's the guy. So he beats Moreno for the belt. He defends against Royval, UFC 296 on the Edwards and Covington card. What the fuck, Colby Covington? You fucking let me down, dude. And then, obviously, this most recent win over Steve Erceg at UFC 301. Pantoja is solidifying himself as a pretty dominant champion right now. Because, I mean, if you look back at the lineage of the flyweight championship over the past couple of years, obviously it's being hot potatoed between Moreno and Figueiredo, right? I mean, that rivalry is just going to be tied with them for life. I think Davis and Figueiredo had one defense before facing Moreno in his second defense, and then he lost that to Brandon Moreno, and then actually no, his first title defense after Brandon Moreno, the first title defense against Brandon Moreno was a draw. Then they had a rematch, and then he beat him. And then after Moreno beat Figueiredo, Figueiredo beat Moreno, then Moreno beat Figueiredo, and then Figueiredo
back again.
and then Figueiredo moved up to bantamweight, and he's been doing fucking crazy shit there ever since he got there. And then Brandon Moreno, in his first title defense outside of somebody that wasn't named Davis and Figueiredo, was Alessandro Pantoja. And Pantoja's had his number since the Ultimate Fighter, man. And he beat him again, a third or fourth time. I think it was the third time that they fought each other was that fight. And he did it again. Alessandro Pantoja just has Moreno's number, and I feel so bad because Moreno hasn't won a fight since. And I'm like, God damn it, Brandon Moreno. I love you to death. You're one of my favorites. But shit, man, please come back on the UFC Sphere card at 305 at some point. Or even if it's a little bit before that, please just come around about that time and just win for me so I can smile. I haven't done that in a while. So, you know. But
you didn't smile when M dropped earlier today?
Oh, yeah. I did smile when Eminem dropped today. I lied. I lied. And so, by the way, that's a pretty good album. I gave that like an 8.5 out of 10.
Fuck
It was
yeah,
pretty
I was
good.
surprised. I woke up going into work for 6.
Yep.
About 5. Like, okay, I can listen to it on my drive-in or before work. Shit's an hour and change.
But it's a conceptual album, though. It has a pretty cool story with it. You have to listen to it in order. You cannot shuffle that album.
Yes, please listen to it in order
Yeah.
if you are going to listen to it.
If you're going to listen to the new Eminem album, Death of Slim Shady, listen to it in order.
Leave us comments on what your favorites are below. So far, us, the studio audience, we all love Guilty Conscience 2. I like Antichrist.
Antichrist is awesome.
Fire. And we all know that.
So is Lucifer.
Brand new dance craze.
The brand new dance craze was fucking hilarious. Okay.
It's just wormed.
I was also a big fan of Evil too. That was pretty good. Evil was very good.
There was no miss on this in my opinion.
It was a very good album. Would you say it was better than Music to Be Murdered By? I think it is.
Ooh, that's a tough one because I don't want it just because it's
Just because it's new.
new.
Yeah.
Because when I think of it, when I think of Music to Be Murdered By, I think Book of Rhymes,
Book of
freaking
Rhymes is fucking amazing.
Discombobulated is a funny one to listen
Discombobulated,
to.
it's good.
Uh,
Unaccommodating is pretty good.
Zeus, they're all really good too.
Little
I
Engine.
would say that as far as like averaged out, like throughout them all, because there were some that I didn't like as much as before, I would give Music to Be Murdered By
Slight Edge.
7.7, and I would give right now Death of Slim Shady 8.2.
I got like an 8.4, 8.5. I'm
So,
hanging around there for
so
Death of Slim Shady.
first day, it's up by like 5 points.
So it's pretty good. I mean, Music to Be Murdered By was really good. Obviously, that was a big deal. Came out. It was a surprise album. It kind of came out of nowhere. I remember it was January of 2020 when it came out, and then Side B was released later on that year in December. And it's so crazy the amount of change that happened from January to December in that year. Have you listened to Nat? That's all about COVID. So I mean, and also a fucking fire song. But Music to Be Murdered By was really good. Kamikaze was kind of just Eminem throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah, Kamikaze is just a response.
Yeah.
But I don't want to.
I don't want to diss it,
the
but
title that sticks in my head that I always remember the verse from was the bowling scheme on Alfred's theme.
yeah,
That was crazy.
that was wild. When he just
I was just like, he's still going.
he's still going.
It's still about
What?
it's
Huh? And then obviously side B gave us a couple of good hits too, like Book of Rhymes. Like I like the song Black Magic a whole lot. And it's got like a catchy beat to it, and I'm vibing to it. I also love Nat. I listen to that pretty religiously for a couple of weeks.
I'm
And
surprised you like that chorus.
but of course I did. Uh,
Machine guns. It's
like trying to fight off an like look, just because I'm an MGK fan doesn't mean that I hate it when Eminem brings up the fact that he absolutely fucking destroyed MGK. You
I
know?
love how he responded back to it again this time. Like, Kelly's throwing subs again. Well,
Here we go again. I mean, I'm an MGK guy, but MGK like I'm an MGK fan. I like his music, specifically like from Hotel Diablo to Mainstream Sellout has been really fucking good. I'm a big fan of the newer MGK, although Bloom was a very good album. That one that came out in 2016 that had Bad Things on it, that had Five on it, and all those big songs on it. So but like
but we should really just put this off to the side with the Eminem episode.
yeah, that's gonna be a fucking long episode whenever the hell we do that. But hey, we're 30 minutes in and we're mostly through these notes by now. So we can go off on a healthy tangent about Eminem's new album that just came out, which go ahead and stream it. It's on Spotify right now. Go do it.
I'm probably gonna buy it.
After you're done listening to us, don't you leave me. Or do. Either way.
I mean,
But
we're done with most of the meat and potatoes here. It's really
yeah, so we're
wrapping
kind
up.
of just quipping as the time goes. So because we're only 30 minutes in, I try to make these at least an hour. So
This actually surprised my younger brother that was I actually cried at the song he did for Haley on that one.
dude, that song, what was it called? Temporary.
Temporary, yeah.
That
Cheers,
Skylar
Temporary.
Grey, fucking, I don't know. Every time she does a chorus, she fucking nails it. All right, I don't know how she does it, but her voice is so pretty, her delivery is perfect, and it helps bring the message of that song from obviously that song Temporary is song to Haley about because I mean Eminem probably realizes now he's getting old and he's gonna die at some point unfortunately, but this song is all about him trying to like he's already dead and he's like speaking like beyond the grave to Haley, telling her to like please just move on, don't be upset, don't cry, watch after your family, just let me go, I'll be okay.
This was a hell of a lot more impactful than When I'm Gone, Just Carry On, Don't Mourn, Rejoice Every Time.
Yeah.
The sound of my voice.
But like with a song like When I'm Gone, that was like at a time when Eminem wasn't.
That's also like it's not as personalized.
Yeah.
It's more general.
It is a lot more general. Like you can apply that to just about anything. This is about just as personal as Mockingbird, if not more. I'd say more. And it's also like it gives a very mature perspective from Eminem. And I'm just like, it was a very moving song, and Skylar Grey absolutely fucking killed that chorus. Eminem with the verses, obviously killing it every time. He's the king of rap after all. So
He's
that's
actually a rap
yeah, rap
god.
god. Yeah, why be a king when you can be a god? How could I forget that? But anyway, let's go back to the 305 editions. So also on UFC 305, so obviously no predictions obviously for these. We're just
No.
telling you that they exist. But this should be a pretty good fight between Urseg and Cara France to see if Urseg's about to get absolutely fraud checked, or if he actually is the real deal and can compete with the top of the bill with the top of the bill flyweights. With that performance against Alessandro Pantoja that he had back in May, definitely there's a lot of eyes on him right now. His stock's pretty high, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's the fan favorite going into this over Kai Kara France. Even though Kai Kara France is a pretty popular fighter, I love Kai Kara France a whole lot. But I also just love that entire team at City Kickboxing. I love Volk, I love Izzy, I love Kai Kara France, I love Dan Hooker, like all of
Yeah, I was
these
gonna
guys.
say, as far as this one goes, no predictions, of course, but I don't think it was a fluke with Urseg, and I think this is going to be a match I'm definitely going to keep close eyes on because Cara France is awesome. I think Urseg's the real deal. We're going to see what that propellant of a battle with Pantoja did for him, and if he's still or even more hungry for, like renown and whatnot. Because this is a shot to prove yourself.
And this is a shot, and plus, Kai Kara France has been at the top of the flyweight division for a little while now, a couple of years now. So, obviously, the best that Kai ever got was an interim title fight against Brandon Moreno, to which he lost by getting a good old liver kick to the body, obviously to the body. A good old liver kick from Brandon Moreno and put him on his ass. So, he didn't get that, but he came very close to getting that shot at the Undisputed Gold, obviously. So Kai wants to get back to that spot, but Urseg also wants to be like, yo, I just gave the fucking flyweight champion a fucking solid fight, and I think I did pretty good. There were some fans I was reading on MMA Twitter, which is a terrible, toxic place. Don't be on there for too
Yeah,
long.
don't go on that.
Don't be there for too long. But Urseg, like people like in the MMA community were like, yo, Urseg got robbed. I'm like, no, I don't think he got robbed. Pantoja beat him. But could Urseg have won? Yes, if he didn't try to wrestle and grapple with Pantoja at the end of the fight. Pantoja's better on the ground than he is on the feet. Not to say that Pantoja's not good on the feet. He is.
Pantoja is very scary.
Pantoja is very scary. But, like, the fact is, he's better on the ground than he is on the feet. Urseg, yes, I know you have a wrestling background since you were very little, but it's a little bit different when you're in the MMA cage opposed to the wrestling mats. You know what I mean? It's the same with just jiu-jitsu guys purely because Pantoja is very good at jiu-jitsu. Like there are things that you can do in the cage there are things that you can do on the jiu-jitsu mats that you can't do in the cage. Working with the gis and whatnot, and different types of submissions from different positions. Sometimes it just won't allow you to get there, or would be stupid to get in that position. But it's just obviously there's differences. But I don't think Urseg's best move was going for the takedown. He's so long. He should have just kept the jab going. He should have just kept him at bay. And maybe, maybe he's the flyweight champion right now, right? But of course we have no way of proving that. But you don't know how it would have gone. But I don't know. I'm very intrigued by this matchup. It's definitely going to show if Urseg is going to get back to that spot and if Kara is going to stay at that spot. Because, that's what this is, and it's a very, very exciting matchup. These two fighters on the same and sharing the octagon together is gonna be fucking fireworks. I'm looking forward to Kai Kara France and Steve Urseg on this card. Also, Tai Tuivasa's back, guys. He's back.
Shoeys!
We got Tai Tuivasa, number 10 ranked heavyweight in the world. He's back after getting submitted by Alexander Volkov back in September and October around there. Fucking Ezekiel choke of all chokes. A fucking Ezekiel joke. But Tai Tuivasa's coming back, number 10 ranked, and he's facing up against number 12 ranked Yarzinho Rosenstrike. Rosenstrike, I believe, is also coming off of a loss as well. So both of these guys are. It's kind of sad what's happened to both of these guys. Both Rosenstrike and Tuivasa, not that long ago, were top contenders in this division, and now here they are at number 10 and 12. It's kind of sad. Because Tai Tuivasa, when I was like starting to get into it, like 2020 around there, he was just going crazy with it. He got all the way up to like number 3 rank, knocked out Derek Lewis and shit, right? And then goes and has a fight with Cyril Gahn and gets absolutely dogged on because it's Cyril Gahn. and then his next fight after that, Sergey Pavlovich, and then Sergey Pavlovich just comes blitzing at him and fucking smokes him. But like it was just a it was just such a fall from grace for Tai Tuivasa here.
Is even with UFC anymore?
Yeah, he's still there. He just only fights in France. It's just he only fights on that September Paris card. You always put him at the top of the bill, and he usually always wins that fight too. No, but just don't put him up against John Jones because then he'll just back up and then get submitted. Or Ngannou, for that matter. He'll just get wrestled to death against Ngannou after winning 2 rounds on the feet against Francis fucking Ngannou.
Didn't Ngannou have like a 28 ACL?
Yeah, both his fucking knees. and
you couldn't beat him.
And you couldn't beat him. And the craziest part about Francis Ngannou just goes to show how much of a freak of nature Francis Ngannou is. This dude was wrestling on 2 torn ACLs. I'm like, dude, bro, nah. Nah.
Hey, for you?
Nah, I'm all good. I'm not even in the fucking cage at that point, okay? I pulled out of the fight a while ago. No, but this dude out-wrestles Cyril Gahn. First of all, crazy enough that Francis Ngannou was fucking wrestling. That this big motherfucking Cameroonian dude coming at your legs, picking you up like a goddamn rag doll, and throwing you down to the mat, And the fact that he did it with 2 broken knees. I'm like...
Listen, if Ngannou did that to me, I'd just be like, yeah, this is where I am now.
I'm just accepting defeat at that point. I'm like, you know what, man? You know what? I'm good. I'm not going to try to get this heavy son of a bitch off of me. All right? Like, the fucking muscle weighs more than fat, bro.
Maybe I can get like a liver.
Nope. Not going to be able to get any power with that motherfucker on top of you. Anyway. So... Tai Tuivasa, obviously, he's had such a fall from grace the past, like, year and a half or so, and it's making me very sad. I'm a big Tai Tuivasa fan, okay? And I'm like, I love seeing him win. I love seeing him knock people out and then take a fucking shoey after. If he somehow beats Jairzinho Rosenstrike, and I'm probably going to do a shoey with him, okay? Like, at that point, I'm going to crack open one of these fucking Mountain Dews, I'm pouring it in my shoe, and I'm taking a drink with him, okay? I'm going to be that fucking happy. And I'll record it, too. Don't worry. It will be on the TikTok and the Instagram, probably. But, so, I don't know. This is going to be a pretty interesting fight. Obviously, these guys both aren't very grappling guys. They don't grapple a whole lot. Rosenstrike maybe a little bit more than Tuivasa. Both of these guys got power. Both of these guys have had such a fall from grace, just losing for guy after guy after guy. After guy. And it's just sad to see what's happened to both of these guys. Maybe more for Tuivasa than Rosenstrike. I'm not a big Rosenstrike guy, I'll be honest with you. But, I don't know. This is a pretty interesting fight between 2 heavyweights that were once at the top of the bill, that want to get back to the top of the bill to maybe compete for that title before their careers are done. And they very much could do it.
Isn't John Jones' career nearly done? Like, he's got like 1 fight in there. He's ducking the good ones.
Yeah, he's ducking Tom Aspinall, who's fighting on UFC 304, by the way. But that's going to be next week's episode. So, but... yeah, he's ducking the interim champion so he can fight Stipe fucking Miocic. I'm like, Stipe hasn't stepped inside of the fucking UFC octagon in, hold on, let me check my records here, 3 fucking years! I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, headphone users. This just makes me really fucking mad. Heavyweight's a fucking wreck, okay? And I'm like, John Jones, what the hell, man? What the fuck are you on?
Up there.
Dude, even then, I mean, Pereira's been good, but I don't know how he does a heavyweight. I mean, he does got the touch of death, but does the same touch of death work on the heavyweights as it does on the light heavyweights and middleweights? I just don't know how his skills will transfer
And I
over.
say that because we had Gon go as champion, then we had him get swept by Nagano, then we had Nagano leave, then we had fucking
John Jones come back.
and then we have him ducking the good fight. We didn't have an injury for.
Yeah, he was supposed to fight Stipe last November at MSG, where Pereira and Prohaska saved that card in their first fight for the vacant light heavyweight belt, because by that time Jamal Hill had pulled his Achilles, and he was out on that injury for that whole year, basically, and because he was fucking playing basketball one day and just blew out his not his ACL, goddamn, not his ACL, his Achilles, which I don't know if it's worse or not. It might be. I don't know, but nah. So he vacated the belt, obviously, and then Pereira and Prohaska had their first fight to get that belt, and Prohaska was already the former champion. He had to vacate his title because of a shoulder injury when he was supposed to go into his second fight with Glover. That was all the way back in December of 2022 when he vacated that belt, and he had won that belt off of Glover in June of that same year. So this was his shot to get back at it, and then of course Pereira just came off of that really controversial win against Jan Blachowicz, which still won. He still won, but albeit it was a little bit questionable. I thought Jan Blachowicz beat him, and I'm gonna continue to say that. And no hate towards Alex Pereira. I actually really like the guy, but
I just pictured you saying some hate towards him and just appearing behind you and giving you that touch. It's like, hey, you want to be on the podcast?
And then he'll just get up to my mic and just go, Chama. And then I'll just fucking dip, okay? And then, Pereira beating the former champion, gets the title shot, beats Prohaska, has been the champion ever since. So, I don't know, though. I don't know about Pereira at heavyweight.
Well, it's not that I want to see him there, because, I mean, obviously they're trying to push him there.
Obviously.
We all saw how the interview went afterwards. But,
Joe Rogan out here.
It's that it's so messy, and so many of the people who we were watching in heavyweight have had a fall from grace. Be it Ravasa, be it Gon, who only shows up once, Nagano, who left, D. Lou, he was on a big skid for a while.
For a little bit, he's coming back now.
Yeah, I know. That's why even for a while it was like that. It's just something needs to happen, and it's not John Jones fighting fucking
Stipe.
I'm
like, bro, old man Stipe hasn't fought in 3 fucking years.
Isn't he like a volunteer firefighter?
Yeah, he's a volunteer firefighter somewhere in fucking Ohio. Dude's basically quasi-retired, okay? This dude got fucking flatlined by Ngannou, and we don't see him again. Now, albeit, no disrespect to Stipe. Obviously, Stipe's the greatest heavyweight of all time. Even the statistics say it. He's got 3 heavyweight title defenses, and even his skills prove it. This dude could do everything from boxing to wrestling. He was a very scary dude for a little bit. He had his time. He just got buried because the UFC liked Ngannou more, and then Ngannou up and left. So, Stipe's been quasi-retired for 3 years now, and now he wants to come back, and I don't even think he wants to fight.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say.
I don't even think he wants to fight.
Joe just wants an easy win.
I think John Jones just wants to get a name like Stipe under his belt, and and of course Dana White being the ultimate fucking John Jones meat rider ever. Love you, Dana White, but goddamn, man, you give this dude too much shit. But with him being the biggest, obviously John Jones has just as much Dana White privilege as Conor McGregor. So anything that John Jones wants, John Jones gets. Anything that Conor McGregor wants, Conor McGregor gets. It's because they know that both of these guys are big draws, and I can understand why Dana White goes for both of those guys, and they are good fighters. They can back it up. I mean, definitely John Jones. McGregor, a little bit shaky lately, but I think he's still got it. I believe in McGregor.
Just wanted a titanium toe.
He just needs that titanium shin bone mixed with a titanium toe bone. and then he's gonna be an absolute fucking Terminator. Okay.
That Skynet's gonna launch, and we're gonna be in real trouble.
Yup. And then so I don't know. And then this fight at heavyweight happening, and of course, if John Jones is like, I want Stipe, then Dana White's gonna be like, you want Stipe? You want Stipe? You want Stipe? Okay, I'll give you Stipe. And then and then he gives him Stipe, and then John Jones obviously he doesn't have that much fight left in him. He's in the twilight years of his career. He's maybe got 2 left in him, if that. This could be his last one. It's going to be in New York, MSG. It's all but confirmed at this point that they're going to redo the John Jones Stipe thing for MSG later on this year. Obviously, nothing's signed, nothing's dated, but it's pretty much done. This is the fight that we're expecting, especially now that Tom Aspinall is fighting Curtis Blades and defending the fucking interim belt. Jesus Christ.
What the fuck are they gonna do if
Not
not even if, but after both of these fights, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter either or, whoever wins, whoever loses. You're going to have 2 different heavyweight belts. The fuck are you guys gonna do?
At that point, you have to make Aspinall and Jones. But, like, John Jones is just going to keep ducking. And if he keeps ducking and say he beats Stipe, which I think he does, I think John Jones beats Stipe when and if that fight gets confirmed and goes down, right? Who's to say he doesn't just retire right there? He'll be in New York. That's his hometown. You know, he'll just put the gloves down, vacate the title, and then we'll never, ever, ever get to see John Jones and Tom Aspinall, which would have been the fight to make at heavyweight. That's the fight that the fans want. That's the fight that I think everybody in the UFC locker room wants too. And plus, everybody in the heavyweight division definitely wants that fight, so that they have a definitive champion that they have to go after. You know, right now they got 2 guys. They don't know which guy they're gonna go after, right? And I just don't think now circling back to Pereira and him moving to heavyweight. I know Joe Rogan's really hard on the thought of Pereira going to heavyweight. I'm not opposed to the idea. Like I said, I don't know how his skills transfer, but like that doesn't matter. Doesn't mean I don't want to see Pereira take a crack at heavyweight, right? But I think some order needs to be restored, and then he needs to beat Magomed Ankalaev in the 205 division, Alex Pereira, and then we could talk about him going to heavyweight, right? Because once some order's restored, there's a solid champion in play. There's an undisputed champion, not a champ and an interim, right? Not a split title, just one title holder, one champion, one definitive best 265 pounder, 230, whatever the fuck, heavyweight fighter, right? And then we have Pereira go up against a wrestler, because we haven't really seen Pereira go against a wrestler yet. And like a high level wrestler, like a Magomed Ankalaev, right? I'd like to see how he does. Now, I'm not denying the fact that I think Pereira might win that fight. I think he definitely has a chance of beating Magomed Ankalaev, especially because he's got this fucking touch of death that, you know, he's big ass motherfucking Brazilian. He touches you and you just fucking die. I mean, like, you know, not that I don't think he can't win that fight, but I do want to see his takedown defense. I want to see him work on the ground a little bit. He got taken down by Israel fucking Adesanya, man, in that 281 fight, and that's the most grappling I think we've ever seen him do. And it was against Israel fucking Adesanya, who also not a grappler, you know. So I want to see him get rid of Magomed, and then have a definitive heavyweight champion, and then have Pereira move in to the heavyweight division and see how he does it there. Also on the card, we
I
have
just thought of something really bad.
yes.
Say Pereira beats him, right?
Who Pereira beat to? Magomed?
Yeah, Ankalaev, and he is champion, right?
Mhm.
What if Adesanya wins his and they won that back?
That could happen.
And then you have a double champ.
That could happen. I don't know if I want that to happen,
I don't think I want that to happen.
but that can happen. And it's a very strong potential if Izzy gets past Drakus, which that's a pretty tough task for Izzy.
Because Pereira did say
He wants Adesanya at light heavy. So, do we want to see them run it again? I wouldn't mind seeing the fight again. But I mean, they're 2 guys that are basically the same. Just one has more power and one has more technique. You know, and it's just a battle of who's going to be better. I mean, Izzy's won more rounds against Alex Pereira for sure, which tells me that he's the better fighter, per se, because he's won more rounds, you know? because even in kickboxing, that was their first fight of kickboxing. It was a very close decision that Izzy should have won. I watched the fight back. Izzy won that fight, and I'm not even trying to be biased. I love both Pereira and Adesanya at about the same rate right now, but it's just Izzy won that fight, and then obviously the second fight Izzy got flatlined. But guess who had a standing 8 count and was dropped right before that happened? Alex Pereira. So, and he also won that round one. And then, of course, they come up to MMA at MSG 281, UFC 281, November 22. I'm there. Izzy's winning this fight 4 rounds to 1, and then gets TKO'd in the fifth. And then, obviously, this next fight, when Izzy regains the title, he knocks him out in round 2 after losing round 1. So, I mean, I think technically speaking, if you want to get that technical, I mean, obviously the better fighter's the winner. By technicality.
Or whoever Mike Bell fights.
But if you go round by round, Izzy has won far more rounds than Alex Pereira, which tells me that Pereira's equalizer is his power, which it is. That is his equalizer. It doesn't matter how much technique and how much the twinkle toes foot dancing that Israel Adesanya does. If he doesn't finish him, he won't win. You know, he can't outpoint Pereira because Pereira just has that constant threat of that left hook just coming around, or left high kick now, or flying knee for that matter. But obviously he's got the power and he's got the equalizer, and when Pereira lands, he fucking lands, and not many people are gonna be able to take that. Okay, I don't care how good your chin is. I saw Yuri Prohaska get flatlined twice by this dude. Okay, no, maybe not flatlined. The first time was a little early, but still knocked out. Regardless, he still got dropped by that left hook after winning the majority of that round. And then obviously this last fight, very definitive. But it's just that's an interesting take though. That could very much happen. I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't complain too much if it happened. I complain a little bit. Don't get me wrong, because I just want to see them move on
Yeah.
from each other. But if we get Pereira and Adesanya again, I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna care. I'm gonna buy the pay-per-view. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna make a podcast on it. So like, that's just how that goes. But back to the UFC 305 fights that were added. We have Junior Tafa and Walter Walker. Yeah, German.
Any relation to Johnny Walker?
I have no idea. And we also have Li Jingliang. Li Jingliang's on here. The dude that had this absolutely dapper suit. He was ready to go for that press conference, and then Hamzat Chimaev had to cause some backstage drama and cancel the press conference. God damn it, Hamzat. Why did you rain on Li Jingliang's parade, bro? He had a tailored suit. He was ready to go. He was sharpening up his English so he could connect with the fans. He was ready for this fucking press conference, and then you start a fight with Kevin Holland backstage, who wasn't even your opponent to this point. Your opponent was still Nate fucking Diaz at that point. And then, of course, when Hamzat missed the weight, then the whole fucking shit got fucked up and whipped around a little bit. And then that was that. But Li Jingliang's coming back. He's facing Carlos Prats. You also have Casey O'Neill on this card. She's a mainstay. She's been around for a while now. Always fun to watch. She's facing Teresa Bleda. I don't know too much about her, I'll be honest. And then we have Josh Kulabau versus Ricardo Ramos. I actually know a little bit about both of these guys. It's more Ricardo Ramos than anybody else. But even then, my knowledge is a little bit limited. I do remember him being a pretty flashy guy, pretty good striker. So, and then Kulabau, I remember him being a wrestler, a pretty good wrestler, but obviously I don't know too much about that. More on that when we do the 305 podcast. And then we have Jack Jenkins coming back at it, the redneck fucking Australian dude. He's coming back at it to face Gavin Tucker. And then we also have Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. I don't know too much about either of those guys, if I'm honest, but that's the UFC 305 card right now, and the news is that the 305 card is getting filled out now, and that we're gonna have a pretty solid 305 card coming up, I would say. and a pretty good headliner, albeit maybe a little bit sketchy as to how it came to be. But at the same time, I'm not complaining. It's Izzy and Drakus. I've been wanting to see this fight for a while now. It just the timing of it all is a little bit off.
Ever since that heel turn.
Ever since that heel turn, obviously, I've been really intrigued about this matchup. I'm not upset that Drakus and Israel got confirmed. It's like the timing of it's kind of off. You know what I mean?
I thought it was weird because Adesanya said he wasn't coming back for gold.
And he wanted to come for heads. And then he gets a fucking title fight. I'm like, it seems like you got gold, man. You got gold on the brain. But
it might have just been like
a figuratism thing.
Yeah, or like Dana White just like, yeah, no, title.
Yeah, no, title. If I have an opportunity to put a title on you, I'm going to put a title on you.
Because, I mean, if the end game would or may be Adesanya Pereira, then that would be the way to go about having that manifest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know. The timing of it all, it's a little bit weird. But I'm not complaining that the fight's happening. I already have a prediction for it. Obviously, not sharing it right now.
Find out, though.
Not sharing it right now, but you will
tell
find
you what,
out.
Actually, I will make him tell you his prediction if we get 10,000 likes on this.
You know what? You got a deal. 10,000 likes, and I'll give you my Israel Adesanya and Drakus Duplessis prediction a month early. I'm totally down for it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for spending a nice, hour? That's a pretty good amount of time, right? We did pretty good here. Thanks for letting us go off on a tangent about Eminem and shit.
I'm actually going to sign off with the check out that Death of Slim Shady.
Check out Death of Slim Shady, and obviously go follow the socials. Our email address is frontrowAccess15@gmail.com. Pepsi, hit us up. Prime, hit us up. And go and follow the socials, and we'll see you next time.